Hello, Daniel. You are up first, sir.
Hey Bart,
So, where are you playing a hand out of?
this is Horseshoe Baltimore.
Horseshoe Baltimore. And I think I remember, I don't know if it was you, but I told somebody that I think they used to only have, I've never been to the Horseshoe Baltimore, but I think they only had poker tech tables there at one time. Poker tech tables were those like computerized tables that you'll sometimes see on cruise lines, but I think they took them out. I don't know if that predated you or what, but
Yeah, I think they got new tables. I'm a pretty young guy, so I only started playing there pretty recently, but I think they got like pretty new tables there.
how old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Interesting. Before we get into the hands, interesting little thing about like youngsters like yourself. Back when I obviously played a bunch, late 2000s, especially right around the time that online poker sort of got the rug pulled, Black Friday in 2011, you would see youngsters like yourself, like guys under 25, come in with a lot of money in live poker. And rightly, you could tag them usually as pretty good players because they were coming from an online type of background. It's a lot different nowadays. I think it's kind of reverted back to what it used to be, where the younger the guy, probably maybe the worse the player. Not talking about you specifically, but not they don't have that online background. And I don't know. It's just like I look at my demos too. Super young people, 18 to 25, aren't really ecstatic about poker. It's sort of like the 30s and the 40s where you get sort of that sweet spot. Of course, where I am, I'm 44, played for 20 years. So just an interesting little background. All right, what's the size of the game here you're playing?
It's 1-3.
Okay,
They recently increased the cap to 500 a couple months ago, which is nice.
nice. All right, so 1-3-500 max buy-in, and how deep are you?
So we're 400 effective with the main villain.
Okay,
So there's a limp in early position, and I'm the hijack with King of Clubs, King of Hearts, and I open to 15.
so one limp and hero in the hijack makes it 15 over one limp. What's the standard open usually without limps in this game?
So I guess normally I would just go 12.
Okay. I'm sure you see people open like to 15 or 20 sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
But you're taking your normal open and adding a limp. That's perfectly fine. All right. So you go to 15 with King of Clubs, King of Hearts from the hijack. Okay.
Yep. So cutoff, button, big blind, and limper all call. So we're going 5 ways.
Wow. Cutoff, button, big blind, and limper. Call, typical low stakes live poker.
Yep.
So 5 ways. Okay.
So the flop comes ace of clubs, ace of spades, queen of clubs.
Ace of clubs, ace of spades, queen of clubs. And you have kings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it checks to me. And do you think I should ever be c betting here 5 ways?
I mean, especially with your specific hand, I probably wouldn't, just because of the propensity for so many people to play like ace x at this level. Your hand also doesn't really need any protection at all, as opposed to like if you had nines or tens, and I still probably wouldn't see bet into four people, but like more sort of shorthanded. So I think I do check here. The other thing too is that you could sometimes, I mean, at the low stakes, I mean, playing your hand straight up, there's nothing wrong, but like, in this scenario, now there is a two flush out there, but let's say the board was rainbow and you had raised with like ace five suited or something like that. You can check sometimes. I would tend not to on a front door flush draw board, but if it was ace, ace, queen. So it's not like it's like entirely imbalanced in a spot like this. So check, check, hero checks. Okay.
Yeah. So it checks all the way through on the
All right.
flop.
So checks through.
And then the turn comes a nine of clubs.
Nine of clubs here on the turn. Just a little bit of positional awareness, as we like to call it on Crush Live Poker. Now, it looks like the big blind here and the EP guy are in front of you. And then obviously you've got the cutoff. I mean, you're really in the middle. So
Yeah.
you would think the cutoff on the button would bet off with an ace. Now, the EP guy and the big blind are probably naturally checking to you just because you're the pre-flop raiser. So we don't know anything about their specific hands right now. Backdoor club or the front door flush comes in now, right? Is that right?
No, it's a double flush draw now. So it's two spades, two clubs.
Oh, I'm sorry. I put up queen of clubs. So it's ace of clubs, ace of spades, queen of spades on the flop, turns to nine of clubs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My mistake. Yeah. Double flush draw board.
Okay.
And then the big blind, who's the main villain, leads into everyone for 40.
Okay. So he definitely could have he definitely could have an ace. Okay. That's 40. Okay.
Yeah. So the limper folds, and now it's to me, and I just call because I just feel like my hand's super strong and under repped to be folding right away.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain people that I might fold to here, the OMC types. It is somewhat interesting. I mean, you're getting, almost 3-1 here. The big blind lead out after everybody checks through here for 40. It's pretty strong. It is definitely pretty strong, but there is a double flush draw out there. So hero calls. Did everyone else fold behind you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and this was not like an OMC or anything. He was older than me, obviously, but fairly young for the table. I hadn't played too many hands with him yet, so I wasn't like too sure about any of his tendencies. So we're heads up to the river, and it comes the ace of diamonds.
Ace of diamonds. Ace of diamonds. Wow. Now, just out of curiosity, before you tell me what happens here, is there a bad beat jackpot in this game?
Yes,
And what's the qualifications? Do you know off the top of your head?
it is aces full of kings.
Okay, so you actually are in a situation where you have a bad beat hand and you would actually be on the winning side of it. But most of the time, and I'm assuming it's probably the same at Horseshoe Baltimore, the players have to play both cards in their hand. So in this case, the opponent would have to have ace queen or ace king here for this to qualify. And then, of course, if he did, you would lose with aces full to quads. So, I mean, there's that. I'm just throwing it out at, but not like ace jack, ace 10. That does not qualify usually.
Yeah, that's correct. Everything you just said.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So the big blind checks to me,
Okay. So the big blind now checks.
which I thought was, I guess, not weird, but like I'm just assuming he's always continuing if he has an ace or a queen here.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think he's always betting off a queen. He also could get counterfeit here with 9-9 if he turned 9-9, which would have been a boat, right? And now you beat that too. I mean, of course you have a value bet here. I mean, I agree with you. An ace is usually going to bet here just a ton.
So I pretty much put him on a range that was worse than a queen, and I guess you can let me know what you think about the sizing, but I bet 55 into about 150, which I know is a little small, but I was just trying to target a pretty wide range there because I just thought that he was pretty weak.
I actually think that I would have bet slightly larger, maybe 125. My take on his range is a little bit different than yours. I really think it's just he's going to fold out, he's got a busted draw, or he has a queen. So I don't think players are like capable. That's old Zebo theorem. I'm going to fold a queen here. They're just going to chalk it up to like, well, you check the flop. How can you possibly have an ace? And even more so, you might even be able to actually go pot here. I mean, I'm targeting a queen, to be honest with you. I mean, and then the draws just don't really matter. But all right, so you bet 55.
Yeah, and I agree that I probably could have gone a little bigger, but then the big blind tanks for a bit. Remember exactly how long it was, but it was long enough that I was starting in my head really just hoping that he's going to call, and then he just rips it for like 350.
350 total.
About, yeah.
So looks like the pot's going to be, 210, 560, about 300 for you to call.
Yeah.
560, about 300 for you to call. So slightly under 2-1. I mean, here's the thing, man. This is a huge, like, mega exploit. I just don't see him ever check raising all in here with a queen. I don't think as played unless he's a real button clicker. And these are really, really underbluff spots. I mean, it's funny because from an MDF type of perspective, you can be like, well, this is the best hand I'm ever arriving here except for, obviously having trip aces. Like if you had pocket queens on the flop, chop here with a queen. It's really hard to fold this just because of the button clicking nature sometimes, but man, it's an underbluff spot. I got to tell you, I mean, I've really made exploitable, folds like this in the past. And then you have to also go through the back of your head though, too. I don't know if this guy's aware, but the worst thing that would suck here is if he did somehow have ace queen or ace king, although it seems like it's very unlikely as played, to be honest with you, because, you've got two kings in your hand. There's no 3-bet pre-flop. What I was saying is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you in the world is if he somehow has a jackpot qualifying hand here and then you fold. How much is the jackpot, by the way?
At the time, it was like 7,500. So I would have won half of it. He would have won a quarter, and
Okay, so
then
it's
the
like,
rest split amongst the table.
did you ever give him this look like, what are you doing? We have a jackpot hand type of thing?
No, well, this was, I guess, should I just reveal what happened?
Well, what were you gonna say?
So what actually happened is because up until he had check raised, I was just like extremely confident that I had the best hand here, obviously with the second nuts.
Right.
So when he did it, I like pretty much I hesitated for half a second and then like pretty much snapped.
Okay, so you pretty much snap called. Okay.
So because like I don't know, I mean, if he has an ace, he has an ace. Like you said, it's the best hand I'm ever getting here with.
And what does he have?
He of course has ace eight of hearts, so I lose.
Doesn't surprise
We
me.
don't win the jackpot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody's gonna get on you for calling here, because I mean it's actually probably not the worst line from your opponent. I'm never gonna give a guy at 1-3 credit for this, but like, if you're calling range on the turn, like look at your position, right? You check back through on the flop. Let's say he has an ace, right? If your calling range on the turn with a couple guys behind you is really like a queen plus or a draw, and on the river, if you arrive with a draw here, you might bluff, and a queen you're gonna bet, then I actually like his play. The only thing I guess somebody could say is that maybe if you had like a king high flush draw, king jack, king 10, you might think you have showdown value, and it goes check, check. But I don't think you're going to call a bet with that hand, though. So I actually like his river check here. If you're betting a queen plus and we think all your value is a queen plus, because I don't think you're calling with jacks or 10s on the turn, or a draw, and you might sometimes bluff a draw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I think he owned me pretty hard. Like unintentionally. Like I don't think he was like the greatest player in the world, but that check threw me off so hard.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, man. Shake it off, move along, but I don't think you did anything wrong. I make that value bet all day long. Thank you very much for the call, Daniel. I appreciate it.